Hi, it's Mazzy. How are you today? This is kind of an open letter uh, reply to Mobile Fidelity, the record label MoFi, Sebastopol, California. Know it well, obviously just over the Golden Gate Bridge from my hometown of San Francisco, where I grew up. Uh, Never been there, was never invited. Melinda Murphy got invited. No one invited me. One day, anyway, I like a lot what Mobile Fidelity puts out. And the reason I'm doing this video, because yesterday I was scrolling through Instagram, which I do. In fact, if you don't follow me, go to Instagram. If you're on Instagram, Mazzy's Music, Mazzys Music, Mazzy's Music. Follow me. I show records I play, occasionally cocktails, just life, but music centric. Mobile Fidelity. I hope you're watching this because Mobile Fidelity posted an Instagram yesterday, I believe. That's when I saw it. Just wanting suggestions. Now, I kind of like that they did that. I still think you guys should get out and talk to people like us, and be more in the forefront. I am a fan of a lot of the Mo Fidelity records. As I said before, I'm not a fan of the one steps, but I'm not a fan of any of those. I have, whether they're the UHQR, the boxes, or the one steps. I think I have two one steps. I did get something else, which I think is fantastic. And I only got it because it's my favorite jazz album of all time, Cannonball Adderley, something else. Check it out. It's excellent. But there is a classics you can get, Blue Note Classics for 25 bucks. And also have Blood, Sweat, and Tears, the second album, the huge album, which is pretty good. And I'm glad that they're the ones that first decided to shrink the box down. That is great. But again, I don't need to spend $125 on a single record unless it's something so special to me. So I'm glad they do it. It's fine for that audience. And if you're one of those, all the power to you. But I think they do have a nice sweet spot from $40 to $60 on most of their records, some on super vinyl. I am a fan. And in their Instagram post, they put it out there. Give us suggestions. What albums would you like to see us do? Now, of course, licensing is always an issue, and just because you put something out there, but I think it's great that they reached out and they said, hey, what do you think? And they asked format. For me, I'm not an SACD person. I have a couple of their records, but I picked 6 records, or 5 artists, 6 records, and they're not really records that to me would be necessarily hard to get for Mobile Fidelity, because in all these cases but one, I believe they've worked with these artists in the past and these labels. But I know it's different now. A lot of the labels are doing their own kind of audiophile thing. Obviously, Rhino, High Fidelity, and you got the Blue Note Jazz stuff with Universal. But well, first of all, actually, I just thought of 2 more. The Jellyfish records. Universal fucked those up last year. So if you can get the 2 Jellyfish records, do them both. If you can get them, you can do them right. They did them all analog, and they still screwed them up. Apparently, the tapes aren't great. And since you use that DSD step, Mr. Fidelity, do them. So the first is a band that you've done brilliantly. You've done double 45. Are they both double 45s? I know. Anyway, the Jefferson Airplane. Okay. You've done an amazing double 45 of Surrealistic Pillow. Now, it's not a great sounding record to begin with because all that drenched reverb built in that happened recording that record in Los Angeles in RCA in 1966, 67 then. But you did an excellent double 45 version, the best that record's ever sound, hands down. Even though I prefer the stereo, I don't know if you can do the stereo, that would be great, but it's probably a licensing issue. You also did, I'm talking to you, Mobile Fidelity, you also did Volunteers. I love that record. So these are the 2 you need to do. You need to do it. First of all, 67's Surrealistic Pillow came out earlier in the first quarter of that year, I believe. This came out the end of that year. And going from something so commercial in that psychedelic folk rock way to something so psychedelic and semi-avant-garde at some points, but it's got brilliant songs, beautiful songs like Martha, Two Heads, some weird shit going on this record. You need to do this record. Do the stereo. I know maybe you can only get licensing to the mono. I think Sundays did the mono at some point. This is that 1967, 68 period where people started buying stereo more. Of course, in 68, they started leaving mono to the side of the road and kept the stereo. So I think you should do this, but this is a little more commercial. And this 1968, a fantastic record, Crown of Creation. Of course, it has Lather and Triad, which was the David Crosby song that the Byrds refused to put on their records, and they recorded it later box sets. It would be released, the Byrds version, David Crosby singing about a menage a trois. The Hammersfeld cover on this with the Nuclear Blast. Of course, there was a Count Basie record, very similar to this many years earlier of this nuclear explosion. But Baxter's, After Bathing at Baxter's, do these two, please. Please. Now, this is one that, some people say this is a new record. Of course, it's already, 20 years old, 25 years old. And this is a great sounding record, as is. But this would be a good out-of-the-box choice. I don't think it's out of the box, and I think you'd get a lot of people who've never really listened to Nick Cave, and this is Boatman's Call. A beautiful record, piano-based. Nick Cave and the Bad Seeds, his deep voice. It's sensual, it's spiritual, it's dark, it's moody, and his brooding lower register voice vocals are great. So Mobile Fidelity, and don't do the big boxes. You don't have to do one steps of these. Do the Clarity, not Clarity Vinyl, it's a different company. Do your super vinyl of this. Come on, call Nick up and say, hey, Nick, BMG, can you get any things from BMG? But Nick Cave, excellent choice. Now, I don't know how well this will sell, but it's a great album. And this is the Byrds, Notorious Byrd Brothers. We know you have associations with Columbia. Now, I am one, and I'm reaching out beyond Mobile Fidelity. I think if VMP stays in print, stays in alive, Vinyl Me Please, they should do a box set of all the Byrds albums. There's only 11 records, 12 LPs, 11 titles. Do the entire catalog. They've done Herbie Hancock boxes. They've done Grateful Dead boxes. Only 11. No one's redone these. Now, I know Mobile Fidelity, you guys don't do box sets, but can you imagine the entire Byrds catalog? Now, some of them people aren't as hep to as others, so maybe a box set's the way to go, because obviously certain titles will sell. The early records are short. Sweetheart of the Rodeo would be an obvious choice, but it's been done and reissued in Sundays, as have these. But this is that kind of country cosmic cowboy crossover thing, and it's a cult favorite of Byrds fans. Beyond that, of course, has a great song Going Back, the Carole King Goffin song. Wasn't Born to Follow, stuff from Easy Rider. This is this is the period, I guess, when they recorded Triad with David Crosby and kicked him out of the group and left it off. But this is a wonderful record. I mean, I could pick other Byrds records, 5D, Younger Than Yesterday. But I think this would be an excellent Mobile Fidelity super vinyl issue. I think this would be great. But I would like even Columbia, Sony, come on. If anyone is watching from Sony, you need to do it all analog. It's kind of, do what Rhino High Fidelity did with ZZ Top. Do an all analog Byrds box. They haven't been issued all analog. Go back to the tapes. And if Columbia doesn't give you the tapes, let MoFi do their DSD step. I'm fine with that. I think Krieg has done wonderful things. One of my favorites, going back, of course, I didn't think to pull a Procol Harum record, but I think your version of Salty Dog is a stunner, and it's better than any other version I've heard, and I love that record. I'd like to see the one before it done with In Hell Was I, Shine On Brightly. I don't know what the tapes are like, but you can fix it. That is a great record. Do that Procol Harum. Now, this record you've done, but you've done way back I guess in the 80s maybe, but it's out of print. I know it's not, and you've done it before, but it's time to do it again now. If not, if you're listening, Rhino High Fidelity, this is one for you. Cooder's Jazz, a great sounding record. Joseph Byrd from the United States of America, and the what's that hippie band in Columbia, Columbia Masterworks, arranged and conducted this Joseph Byrd. Wonderful record, very influenced by that whole 1930s, 20s, 30s thing, Django Reinhardt, that type of thing. I just love this record. I've never heard your version, Mr. Fidelity, but I think it's time to do a new version of Jazz, because I think that goes for some money. But Cooder's Jazz. And lastly, this is a record that the artist keeps threatening to put out, because the vinyl came out at a time when vinyl wasn't the resurgence of vinyl hasn't happened. And you've done one of this guy's albums as well. You've done Sea Changes. This is Beck, and this is Midnight Vultures. This has been promised to us for the last 5 years from Beck. It hasn't been reissued. You can't get it. It would be the perfect release by Mobile Fidelity. Beck's Midnight Vultures, a great soul funk record. I've said this many times. I'm going to repeat myself, Mr. Fidelity and all you other viewers. This is the best Prince album Prince never made. It sounds like a Prince album, and it's friggin' great. So Mobile Fidelity, those are my requests. Respond, reach out to me. Let's talk. Thanks for watching, everybody. If you have other requests, go to the Mobile Fidelity Instagram and put your requests in. What would you like? Now, they're obvious choices. There's so many choices. I mean, come on. Now, I don't need everything, an upgrade, but these are just things that I like their records. I love their Dylan records. I love their Miles Davis records. Every once in a while, something doesn't work for me. Your Young Rascals Groovin' is a very favorite album of mine. The mono's a piece of shit. Not just your version. Rhino did a mono version. It's just not it's better in stereo. Maybe it wasn't your fault. Maybe it's the tapes. I just was so disappointed with that. Stereo's the way to go with Groovin' Young Rascals. That's it today. Thank you for watching. We'll talk. Mazzy loves you.